subjugation is a good thing. I know that's a crazy line to start a concept, but I think when people ask me often, what makes the great teams great, whether that be in sport, military, great organizations in the business world, or frankly, families, it's the ability of the members of that team to subjugate themselves to the cause, to the greater good, to the struggle or fight or the end state that you're pursuing. Subjugation is one of those words I think people see and think bondage, slavery, these terrible ideas. My concept is the idea of submitting or subjugating yourself to something greater to help become part of the process of achieving that. The military is exceptional at this. When you show up at the military in boot camp, Army, Air Force, Marine, Navy, it doesn't matter. As soon as you get off that bus, the car that brought you there, you show up on base, the first thing they're going to do is give you a medical check, which means you basically strip off all the clothes you came in there with. They're going to do a check, make sure you're healthy, you don't have any diseases, cuts, anything that's going to hurt anybody else in the class, and then you walk out and get a gear issue of uncomfortable underwear, dumpy pants, scratchy socks, combat boots, basically boots that have been around since World War II, a t-shirt that might have your name on it, at best, sometimes just your number. When I went to Ranger school, you're not even a name, you're just, I was Ranger 82. That's how you're known for the entirety of that program. And they, like I said, shave your head, put you in that, and then you're standing next to everybody else that's about to go through that same crucible. And you don't really recognize at the time that it is trying to get the you out of it. And it's trying to drive the you to we, to become something part of something else. And so you've got to shed that old version of what's important to you, your ego, what you think you bring to the table, and start becoming part of this team. And great teams do that. At the SEAL teams, this is driven in for the entirety of your career. One of the things that made me think about this, I could give 10 examples, but when we finish, whether it's a training operation or an actual combat mission, when you're done with that, you've got to take care of the gear that carried you through that mission. The priorities when you do that is team gear. That's the gear that the team owns. That's trucks, weapons, all kinds of other components that the team owns. So you clean and take care of team gear first. Then you take care of what we call common gear. So that might be radio equipment, some of the heavy weapons and things like that you're going to take care of. Then 3, you take care of personal gear. You're third on the totem pole of priority, and that's on purpose. We want that to be a smaller part of that greater good. I do a lot of work with Chick-fil-A. I've had just an unbelievable time spending time with that organization. I look forward to hopefully much more with them. That's how special they are. I have spent 10, 15 years with a lot of different organizations, hundreds of businesses. I don't know if I've seen a culture that even approaches the culture that is enjoyed, guarded, purposeful, and taken care of at Chick-fil-A. Truett Cathy starts Chick-fil-A, a chicken sandwich joint that's out of Atlanta. The current Cathy family, Dan, and the rest of kids and folks that run that, it is family run, family owned. They take tremendous pride in it, but their culture lives above everything else. Actually, the thing that lives the highest is faith. And you know this if you know anything about Chick-fil-A. They are not open on Sundays. So they have literally taken one of the 2 days, the 2 most lucrative days you can be open, and said, we're going to forego 50% of that. The thing that's fascinating about that is if you drew a grid square around, call it your business, local area that has fast food chains. If there's a Chick-fil-A, a Starbucks, a McDonald's, and a Subway all in that grid square, that Chick-fil-A operator makes more money than McDonald's, Subway, and Starbucks, those chains combined. That's how well they do with the culture that they bring, which is about service, taking care of you, and making sure the customer enjoys their time every time they're there. I was working with Chick-fil-A recently, not long ago, and I met some of their operators. They call the owners of the different franchises operators, which is hilarious because we're called special operators. So of course there'd be synergy there. But one of the operators is that I was talking to a new group, so new owners that are running one of the outlets. And the operator was a retired either 2 or 3-star Air Force general. Now look, not all generals walk on water, but you do not get that job by accident. And he said he felt like he got by the skin of his teeth getting into the organization. It took him almost 2 years to prove and kind of show to Chick-fil-A that he was the right person to take over one of those franchises. That is not by accident. They guard their culture ferociously, and in doing so have maintained a level of performance that is exceptional at every single location you will ever attend. If you can find somebody to tell a bad story about an experience at Chick-fil-A, drop that into the comments and let me know, because you would be the first. It is something to guard, that level of purpose and culture, and getting away from the you to get to the we. Hey, if you're enjoying this content, we enjoy making it, and we want to grow the tribe. So follow, like, subscribe. We'll put that option down at the bottom of whatever platform you're catching this on. We'd love to have you consistently. Pass it to people you care about. Ever onward.